Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a slightly different episode of the Tenant Farmer. My name is Simulation for the Nation, and today I am going to walk you through how we turn this disused barn full of junk, clutter, and bales with a horse stable up at the far end into this, the full small-scale dairy farm in the corner of Calmsden Farm. I'm going to show you what we did in Giants Editor, how we do that in Giants Editor, and what we did in-game with the placeable versions to make a map or a farmyard as close to this one as we possibly can. So without any further ado, let's jump on into Giants Editor and show you what we need to do. And so before we jump on into Giants Editor, you'll notice there's quite a few obstacles that we need to move to be able to allow us to have the space to create the map that we need. And some of those are very straightforward, really. You'll see that the hen coop is in the middle here. We've got fences going through the middle as well, fence all the way around the corner here. The in-game stables, that's fairly easy to remove. A quick change of the placeables and we'll have that one shifted. A few trees here and there, a few old water tanks, and that's about the gist of it. And obviously all of this clutter inside. So we're going to get onto all of that. But first, we need to make some adjustments. To do that, you need to be inside Giants Editor. The latest version is now available to download on the Giants Developer Network, 9.0.3. Download that, and we'll see you inside the Editor Suite. So you find us, folks, inside Giants Editor. This is the editing suite for all of Giants maps and also mods. If you are wanting to rebuild or create a new model map, you're going to be looking to use a program called Blender to make the initial models. But for Giants Editor, you can change how things interact. You can add or remove different things from maps. You can change coding and attributes so they behave in a little bit of a different manner. And that's what we're going to be looking into doing today. The first thing that we want to do is change a few little features around the main farm here, because you'll notice that a lot has changed between how I have my map set up here for the farmyard and how Auction David set it up to begin with. So what we're looking at to really is initially we want to remove all these models in and around here. We're going to remove things like the car. We need to remove this fence down the middle as well, and you can do that by identifying and clicking on the model that you need to begin with. Once you do that, you can identify which one you need and which one you have to delete, but be very careful that you don't inadvertently delete a whole bunch of mods, maps, or attributes, because you can cause quite an issue. You'll see we have this one selected. When you're moving fences around, it's a little bit easier to do, to be honest. That doesn't cause you quite so much of an issue. So we're going to start by just getting rid of that one. And then this guy here, we're going to keep, but we're just going to slide down a little bit. So that will be looking good there. We'll get rid of some of these little bits and pieces as well. Things like these tanks and these trailers, that clears that space up there. The car as well, we don't need that. All of the clutter inside the shed, that is a game feature that you can remove, so we don't need to worry too much about that. I put a gateway in over here. I actually removed this gate here as well, because at the time there was a bit of an issue with how that would behave, but that's okay. Now what's important to notice is that a lot of the construction, a lot of the building inside our game save was actually done inside the game itself, not through Giants Editor. So I wanted to try and be able to do as much as possible there. But what we're going to do is just kind of move a few bits and pieces around here. We'll get that put one side for now. We're going to just take this here gate. Now ideally when you're placing gates, you want to create a new gate number, so you don't just copy the exact gate. So what I'm going to do there, just to make sure that we do keep it there as a unique entity, let's change that to 7. Now we're just going to place this into roughly where we want it to be. Put you down, and then we can just make sure that it all lines up there, which is not quite doing at the moment because we want to line up with that one there. Perfect. Okay, and then I get rid of this. There's that gone. So we don't really need to touch anything with that. What we are going to get rid of is this brilliant texture, because as part of the game series we eventually got rid of this and leveled out this bit of yard. So we're going to do that now. So really that is just a bit of mud there that we can remove. You'll love to see it. Coming around here, we do have our shed. We got 2 sheds that we need to place here. One is going to be here, and then they've got the cattle shed here, and this track maintains itself along there. If we look at the models that we have here, these are all just placeable models, so we can get rid of that one. We're going to get rid of that one as well, which is good. And get rid of that there. we'll be able to place our shed into here. What I also did though was just to be a lot of the trees here were starting to creep into the building, so what we can do is just scale these down just a little bit, make sure that they don't cause us any too many issues. Just go 3 3 3 and then move it away from that fence. These guys here will all be just painted out when we get to it. Moving over to this side, this is where our yard begins, and this is where we need to have a gateway really. So what we'll do is just get rid of this fence here and then move this one back down to there. Now what I've also done, something that we'll look to do is we're going to just pull this around the side of this group of trees here. That's going to just give us a little bit of a fenced off area and allow us just to kind of build that driveway in that we have. That works pretty well, I find. We're not going to change any of the terrain here in the game because that is all something you want to change in the editor in game itself, because if you do it that way, it will save it to the save game. If you do it in this game, in this map, and then make further changes, you start to lose a bit of correlation there, which you don't really want to do. And then I think what I was going to do was just tie this back in to our little wall over here, which we're nearly there right now actually. So what I can do, rather than placing another one down, we'll just kick the length of this one up a little bit. 1.1 will do it. There you go. Okay, so now you can see we've got the area. This is where we're going to put our second cattle shed. We're going to place a fenceable area down here, which would be good. In recent episodes, we've just started to rebuild out this as well. So what we can do for all of this right now is just remove all of these, just so it clears everything out for us. And then we'll find that means that we've got this area that's ready to go. And again, using placeables, we get everything placed in where we want them. What I did was didn't delete these because I wanted a little bit of character in this area. So we just stacked everything up neatly out the way, including the wheelbarrow as well. All you need to do is get used to the familiarity of how you can edit really, making sure that you're comfortable with the very basics in Giants Editor. I did do a video a while ago on how to do this. However, if you really want to learn the best way to edit within Giants Editor, I strongly advise you check out somebody called Shy Wizard on YouTube. His content is very, very good. Teaches you an awful lot about from the basics all the way up to the more complex mastery really of all things mapping and modding. He can go into the depths of the scripting as well. Oh, let's not do that one. There you go. Want to keep that. He will go into the depths of how you change i3D files as well, which will be something that as you get into it more and more, you'll find is quite important. So yeah, we'll leave the rest of that stuff kind of where it is, to be honest. That's not looking too bad at all. And then let me just check what I do believe we want to do here as well. Is, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We actually want to kick out this fence ever so slightly because this is going to affect the terrain we have. So we're just going to take these ones, slide it out to about there. So we'll get this fence adjusted, and then really we're straight on back into game really. We'll show you what this looks like, and then we can start to get to build. So if you want to build the same file up and the same game save up there, these are the mods that you're going to need for the most part. You're going to need the decorative stone walls and the meadow fence pack, the free fences and bushes. You don't necessarily need that one, but I find it's a benefit to have. Easy dev control so you can fly around and see things nice and easily. The animated shed pack as well from Alien Gym is a must, as well as the placeable silos and the self-made cattle shed. With that in mind, let's load on in and see what that looks like. So before you enter, you need to make sure you have a few mods set up for your game save to allow you to place everything. These are all the mods you need. Obviously, there's a few DLCs in here that you don't necessarily need at all. The AGI pack, the Kubota pack, the Antonio Carrera pack, and the Class Zerion aren't necessary in any way, but they're there, so we'll just leave them. Everything else, you will need to be able to build this farm. So let's go. We're going to start off. We're going to have a bit of a look around, show you what... I made a few more changes to Giants Editor just so I could be happy with how everything is set up, which I am now. and then we'll start to build really, and we'll show you what that looks like, see how we can go about that, and take it from there. So we come on in. First thing I always like to do, go into flight mode, get above, and let's go and see. I've cleared out the debris and the clutter from inside of the barns already, and we already did just a little bit of painting. Now for this little bit of yard space here, we just need to edit it really where we can. One thing to be aware of is that you can never really edit around here because of the gateways and the models, so you will need to remove that out. Anywhere where there is a model there, you struggle to sculpt up. So let's just see if that's any better now. Go to a bit of that. We're going to take this. It's allowing us to do a little bit, but there you go, make it look a little better. There's still a bit of a hole there, so that's why you would get rid of that gate, just to allow you to do that a bit better. Anyway, that's that bit done. Now we'll paint all this when we're ready, once we've got everything placed down, of course. But I've also just realized that we left a hen trough there. I don't think I can remove that in game. I can. There goes the chicken pasture. Lovely old job. So you sell that one off there. First thing we're gonna do is get a shed into here, and the shed that we used was this guy, which had the 2 doors. Now I think I'm gonna place this around here somewhere. Okay, so once we toggle off the free mode, then it allows us to kind of stick this in. I think that's about as square as it can be. The free mode is by using one of the placeable extended mods there. You'll see if I press V, it stops me from placing it, whereas I press V again, we're all good to go. So shed's in. What we need to do is just make sure that's building up in the right direction. So we'll just go build. We'll soon find out if we did it right or not. Yes, we did. Perfect. And doors. So there's our first shed. The yard now has a bit more shape. Start to recognize a little bit more there, which is great. What we want to do is fill this bit in, really. We've got 2 cattle sheds to place. Before we do that, we need to also get rid of this guy up here, which is the equestrian barn. Let's sell that. We don't need that anymore, and it's going to be a nice little area for us to build our second cattle shed. What we're going to do though is just put in a bit of a level ground. Wonderful. Coming to animals. Take this guy. What I like to do is kind of place it in with the back wall there, making sure it's relatively straight and parallel. Maybe stick it about there. We'll see how that looks. Alright, cool. So, got one. Use the same one for down here. Obviously, we have to just see how we can place this in. Looks like, I would say, we're going to need to do a bit more extension, which is fine. Alright, well. Now, a few things we need to do. We need to get rid of a few trees here, so we can we'll move those over, so it'll allow us to figure out all of this mess here. That's fine, we can totally do that. It's not going to take too much time at all. Just have to jump back into GE to make sure that looks good. But as you can see, things are starting to take shape now. What we'll probably do actually is just slide this forward a touch. We're going to just remove that. So as you can see, it's not quite exactly the same, but the yard is starting to shape up together. What we're going to do, just to get rid of a little bit of the debris around here, is use a little bit of this one here. Get rid of a little bit of all this debris. Now, we're going to have this all tied up there. We're going to, in our current Let's Play series, we're starting to slowly make some nice additions and changes to the yard here. So it won't take too long for us to get this all figured out. We do have 2 silos around about here, actually. So we'll get those added back on in now. We're going to go into buildings. We'll go into silos. And we have one for fertilizer. Stick about there. One for herbicide as well, which actually goes very similarly right here. Now the big thing that's going to change is how this all looks really in relation to us having the the walls and the fences around here, which kind of really gives it a bit extra character. So we're going to start to add those back on in. That looks perhaps about right. We do need to figure out this fence here. That's going to go. That'll be fine. I'm going to get rid of that. What actually happens is that these trees will go, we'll reduce down all this, and then there's a wall that comes along the side there. So we'll get that all added in when we need to. But yeah, that's starting to look a lot better. And let's get everything built out here. So first thing I like to do is stick in a little bit of a road. Again, coming down into landscape in here. Let's go to painting. Let's just get our gravel. Now, our road in question was kind of starting about there. Okay. And then we do two things with our tracks. We have a forest track that goes through here to our fields. And then we also have, it kind of splits off up here. So for this purpose of this, we're just going to use the same gravel just so we can see the changes that we're making. Because we're going to bring this one down into here. Make sure this is all teed in nicely. But this area here, this needs some work. We plant some trees along here. We're going to put a fence up here as well. So this is where we can really get going. Now, first thing you want to make sure is that you're going to have your road along here. So let's mark out the area that we need, really. So that can then come down. I can join in. That's obviously a very crude vision, but that's, again, we're just getting everything ready here, really. And this can be a nice little patch of grass around here. That'll be fine. Over here, we use all this area. We're going to have a place for muck heap in there and then store some silage bales along here. So this fence line really just goes all the way along to there. And then we can do a bit of this. Perfect. And then from about here, we're actually going to have a bit of a gate, which is going to come around to the side. The road is going to come all the way down here to here. So now coming to decoration, we want to find all the walls from that mod pack that we were using. So in this particular version, I do believe that we are using this wall here. So let's just maybe start that about there. So where we're going to bring in our gate. And slope that around so it's a bit softer, really. So now that you've got that first wall in, you can see it starts to give the whole place a little bit more shape. This can all be painted up and smartened up when we're finished. Of course, we're not quite there yet. But we want to add another gate in. We have placeable gates here, which make it always nice and easy. But you want to make sure that we have the gate opening the right way. So what we're going to do is place the gate up there. About there, that's wonderful, and that way we can get our next bit of wall teed in very nicely. So that's going to go down to about there. I want to make it a little bit wider just so it can bend around that a little bit easier, really. And then we're going to place that up to there, like so. Now, what I like to do at this point as well is just start to really decorate this out. Fill it out with all the some trees and bushes and things like that, just to make it feel a little bit more like organic, really, which is always something you can do nice and easily. Of course, you can do this to your own tastes and desires whenever you're ready to, but yeah, that looks a little bit better. We're going to back into painting here, just tidy up this little bit around here. Wonderful. That bit there I'm not too fussed about. We can kind of leave that About like that. Of course, all this bit here will be just transformed over, really paint over all that, make sure that's going to be nice and level for us to add in our next step. We're on another gate though over here. What I want to make sure is that we have it start about there. And there you go. Fence is back on, gates in. Roughly, it's not ideal again, but this is just an exercise of showing you how to do things really. And then we're looking good. So now everything's starting to come together a little bit there. What I want to see if I can do as well is just get a little bit of a fence line going from there to there, proving a little bit tricky. So what we're going to do next, as you can see, we've pretty much got the farm in place really. It does certainly look recognizable to what you would see in any of the game save updates. However, a few things we want to add into here would be a placeable silo in there. Let's have a look, see what we've got. I haven't got any of the small ones available here right now, but you could quite as easy just stick something like this in, just put that there, for example. That'll do, and then you got your options to stack all your bales in the corner there as well. Furthermore, we're just going to do a little bit of a tweak in Giant Editor to remove those trees and to push that back and put that wall in a little bit, and then that is as good as done as well. Once we're back into the map file again, this bit of fence we know is not necessary, so we can remove that one out. We can also look to just scale this one down. This is a bit too long, so we're going to come down on into the scale on the side. We're going to look at the scale Z value there. Let's go 0.5. It's not quite enough. 0.6. No, it's too much, so let's just go 0.55. That should allow us to connect it to this one. 1.2. No, 1.1. Just about it. There you go, perfect. And of course that can just be arrowed down a little bit there, so it looks like it butts up nicely, which is good. And then trees, we're just going to move those back ever so slightly onto the other side of the fence, because they are right where we need to be, and they're prohibiting us from finishing this off as we'd like. And that should be all the changes that we need to make there. What we'll do now though is just make sure I have a scout around. There's nothing else that we need to do, nothing else that needs to be pulled out, which I don't really think there is. We're going to come out, we're going to save it one more time. Take a last quick jump in there to see, and then that should be us pretty much done. Like I say, it's not going to be exactly mirror image of the game save there, but it gives you the best idea of what that looks like. So as the game loads up there, let's get ourselves in. Okay, so we're going to go back on in. We're going to find that same game save. There it is. Everything that we need is ticked, and in we go. So you can already see it looks a lot better, in my opinion at least. And what we just need to do is the final few little tweaks and adjustments there to make sure it's all bob on. What I haven't done in this stage so far is remove all of the equestrian equipment. You can do that as well and just get rid of it. I've actually turned that into another little grass paddock. Of course, we just don't really need to do that at the moment. But what we do need to do, and what we're going to have a play with right now, is just to see how easy we can level off the rest of this ground here. So we know we want to be at that kind of level there. So that's not going to do it without us getting rid of the shed, which is fine. And now, just pull all of this down into what we know is to be our level. Much better. Get this to behave in the manner that we want. So let's maybe put you down to there. Okay, so we can probably build around that. Let's give that a go. Just put that one up right up there. That works. I'll take it. All right, so now bit of painting. Let's put a bit more concrete down around here. We just need one more wall into here as well, but then we're about set. And we need to even come all the way down. So what we can look to do is we haven't got much of a stackyard here. What we did is actually move that fence across that little bit more. But yeah, ultimately this will give you your stackyard area there as well. What we'll do though is just stick this about here if it will let us. But yeah, ultimately I think that's a pretty good example of what you can do and how you can get this farm to take the shape that you want it to, really. This is quite a transformation from what we just started with. Like I say, it's not 100% dialed in there, but neither was the Tenant Farmer when I first started. It did take a little bit of time to piece it all together and make it look exactly like we should do. But I do hope this gives you a little bit of a helping hand to make your own version of that map. If you have any questions, do leave them down below. We'll be back with a regular episode of the Tenant Farmer next week, so stay tuned for that one. Until then, I hope you have enjoyed. I've been SFTN. We'll see you all in the next one. Catch you later.